A warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining in our today's transformational talks. My name is Saeed, and I'm here with my colleague Anik Brett, representing Coach Transformation Academy. Coach Transformation Academy is a globally recognized coach training and mentoring institute offering world-class certifications accredited by the International Coaching Federation, ICF, International Mentoring Center, IMC, European Mentoring and Coaching Council, EMCC, and the Society of Human Resources Management, SHRM. If you would like to know more about our programs, please feel free to write to us. We'll be sharing our contact email in the chat shortly. To ensure you receive one ICF CCE and one IMC MDC, we kindly request you to be on camera for the next 60 minutes, please. Participation certificates will be issued by Friday. It's a pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Warren Nell, a certified Maxwell leadership coach, trainer, and speaker. He's gone from city lights to still nights on a farm in South Africa, all while mastering the art of helping coaches build businesses that thrive. Warren, a very warm welcome to you. We're excited to hear what you have for us in store for today. Over to you.
Great, Zahid. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks everyone for having me on here. There's a lot for us to get into, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll get straight to it. But in the meantime, everyone, I'd love to just hear just to have a glimpse of where it is that we're logging in from. I see that we have quite a lot of people logging in, but it'll be interesting to know where you're logging in from. So in the chat real quick, let me know where you're logging in from, whether it be Dubai or whether it be somewhere else in the world. Let me know real quick. It'll be interesting to see. And then in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And while doing that, also, if you can just give me a thumbs up also in the chat to let me know if you can see the screen firstly and that you can hear me correctly. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up there. Okay, great. Awesome and wonderful to see all of your faces. I'm seeing some familiar faces as well. Anna Marie, Miriam, Asala. Awesome. All right, so how to attract high-ticket clients on Instagram in 30 days or less without spending hours on social media, without needing a huge following, without being salesy, or without needing any business or tech skills. How does that sound so far, right? Okay, cool. So before we dive in, I want you to think about getting paid clients, whether you are a coach, whether you are a dietitian or other expert. There is oftentimes a challenge around having an expertise, but they're not having clients come in that are consistent, okay? And I imagine that some of you, obviously, or if not all of you, are at a place where you're very passionate about what you do. A lot of you are certified, and you're wanting to figure out, how do I get not only one or two clients, but how do I get a consistent flow of clients? Okay, and so I want you to think about getting clients. It's kind of like baking a cake. And some of the problems that you have when it comes to baking the cake of getting paid clients is not having enough or not having all the ingredients. And as I'm going through this list, if this is you, then just type in the chat real quick, that's me, just so I have an understanding more or less of where you're at and what kind of problems that you're facing so we can best navigate. So firstly, I don't have all the ingredients. That is, for example, your niche, your offer, online visibility, and that kind of thing. Or I have all the ingredients, but no recipe. Okay, you don't have a clear strategy or a plan. I have the recipe, so you have all of the parts, but you're not really following it due to whatever reason. Or I'm scared of getting it wrong or failing. Maybe you have all of the pieces, you have the strategy, but you're not moving forward because you're scared. What if I fail? Or perhaps you've already gotten clients before, but you can't seem to repeat the process, right? It was kind of, maybe it was a referral or it was just by chance, but you don't have a system that is repeatable to consistently get clients, right? If that is you, just type in the chat, that's me real quick. And then some of the other problems are perhaps your offer isn't high ticket. So the coaching that you're selling by the hour or even by package, but you don't have a high ticket offer that gives you a lot of leverage and value per client. 7, your offer hasn't been tested or validated. So it sounds like a great idea, or the coaching you do is amazing and you're highly certified, but it hasn't really been validated as something valuable, right? So you're not really sure if this is going to work in the marketplace. 8, or you're unclear on who it's really for. Okay, so you know that this is valuable, you know this is life-changing, but you don't really know who this specifically is for. Okay. And lastly, you're not specific enough about who your ideal clients exactly are. Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of thumbs ups there. I'm seeing a couple of me's there. Thanks for sharing there. Abhijit, Tony, Partha, Shireen, Cornelius. Great stuff. All right. So just to give you a quick backdrop or a quick backstory of why I'm here, how I got here, and also why it might be important to be paying attention today. And by the way, before we do dive in order to make the most out of today's call, obviously aside from having your camera on, I want to ask you to give yourself permission to just be 100% focused, right? Absolutely no distractions. Take your phone, throw it out of the window or under the bed if you need to, and just decide to be fully present. And think of the analogy of a sponge, like squeezing every single last drop out of a sponge. I encourage you as you sit here to soak up every last drop of today's masterclass, because there may be things that you already know, but I want to challenge you with the idea and the thought of, I may know this, but am I fully applying this? Okay. Am I actually applying this to the maximum level to get the results that I'm looking for? All right. Ready for the backstory. So January 2019, we were in Dubai. I got the news I was laid off my job, and I had two choices: either find another job, a sales job, or take a chance on doing what I love. Now, mind you, at the time, I had just entered the certification program of the Maxwell Leadership Team. So I really didn't know much about coaching. I was just kind of messing around with some of the content, but I wasn't fully engaged up until this moment where I was at the crossroads of, do I go back to the corporate space, or do I actually take a chance, jump and try and build my wings on the way down around this idea of building a coaching business, building a business around something that I really love doing, that I was very passionate about. All right. And so I decided to take the leap on doing what I love full time. The problem was that I had extremely low confidence. So imposter syndrome. I was pretty terrible at speaking. I had severe ADHD. I was clueless with social media, with hundreds of posts which didn't draw much attention, and there was no sense of brand alignment or anything like that. I didn't have much business skills either, or sales skills, or even tech skills. That's me sitting in a Starbucks coffee, I think in Mall of the Emirates, trying to figure out how I'm going to get my next paying clients. And then about 3 months later, I got my first paid clients. I did it. And at this moment, this was a very important moment for me, because it was a sense of validation, and it was proof that it could be done and that I could actually do it. And the next thing was, am I willing to do it again? Right. And that was enough belief for me to continue that process. And something stuck with me was this idea of impact. It's very easy for us to think that, we're going out there, and of course we have this potential to make an impact at mass, at a large scale. But really, how does impact happen? Right. And so how do we change the world? And I think each and every single one of us have some kind of desire to change the world in some way. Right. And I realized that the more people that I work with one-on-one, the more I felt at least my little part of the world changing, the more I felt that my positive influence growing. And so I decided to do exactly that I'm just going to focus on one person at a time, right? And if I'm giving free coaching sessions, I'm going to give free coaching sessions. If I'm posting content, even if it's just to one person, I'm going to post content. If I'm showing up to a group masterclass or an event and there's only one person, I'm going to show up as if there are 100. And I decided just to bring that mentality, and that really changed the game for me in my approach. I wasn't the smartest person in the room or in the world, but I was smart enough to know that I needed help, especially with imposter syndrome, et cetera, et cetera. And so after investing tens of thousands of dollars that I didn't have, oftentimes I took this out on credit cards, on some of the mentors. There are some of the pictures of just some of the mentors that have been hugely influential in my life, becoming a Maxwell leadership coach, crashing my business, going bankrupt more than once. By God's grace, I was able to build a profitable high-ticket coaching business. No, I'm not a millionaire, but I'm grateful to have helped over 1,000 coaches today with client getting strategies. And I've managed to build a 5 to 6 figure coaching business that has allowed me to do some cool things like the following: doing what I love full time, working with people that I love. Those are some of the coaches that I work with. Using my God-given gifts to change the little part of the world, my own world, in my own unique way. And some other cool things like visit home whenever we wanted to, back in South Africa. That's when we were in Dubai. Take random road trips around the US, visit the Big Apple. And most importantly, and I think this is one of the core values that really drives me, and I want to challenge you with the same question, which is, what is the primary motivating factor for you wanting to do an online business? As we pause here real quick, I want you to just share in the chat with me real quick, just so I have a gauge. What is your number one reason for building a profitable online business, whether it's 5 figures, 6 figures, or 7 figures? Just interested to know. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of messages there, making a difference, being there for my family, no matter where we end up. Okay, I resonate with that. And Marie, thanks for sharing. Okay. Freedom, it's really important to have that, because there are a lot of parts of building a business that, as you know, and I'm sure as you would resonate with when it comes to having a job, or even managing your coaching practice, there are a lot of parts of that which can feel very mundane. And so it's important for us to be able to really establish and tap into our why, especially in those moments where sometimes we feel like we want to give up, especially when it comes to building a business as a coach. It's one of the hardest things that you'll ever do. Anyway, so most importantly, to be present with our growing family. These are just some pictures of our little 2.5-year-old Cody, and then our little 4-month-old Asher. And so I think that's been a real growing factor for me. I think one of the big shifts was from financial and maybe even status at the time being one of the primary factors. The sense of needing to kind of prove my own worth and my importance, to shifting to I think to more mature, to be frank, motivating factors like family. So that's been a big driver of mine. It's also allowed me the privilege of working with some amazing people like this. I don't know if Nada, Amani, or Olga are here, but it's been a privilege working with you. And today we live on a farm in South Africa, in a little place called Dundee, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. And my focus here in this remote space in the middle of nowhere, and I think it's so magical that we are able to connect this way anywhere in the world. And that's what I love about an online business, is that you can be anywhere in the world, travel, and make the impact that you're wanting to make. And my focus is helping coaches attract consistent high-ticket clients every month. And I also just recently launched another business with one of my friends, helping coaches attract clients on autopilot. So we have a complete done-for-you solution backed by a UK-based in-house team that fulfills on those deliverables. And so that's my focus today. And the one goal that I think knits all of this together is helping purpose-driven coaches. So if you are a purpose-driven coach who wants to use your God-given gifts to change the world in your own unique way, to use the positive influence that you have to not only get more clients, but really, and not just start a business, but start a movement and truly change this little part of your little nook of the world in your own unique way, then it's my pleasure to have you on this masterclass. And it's also my pleasure to bring this framework to you. So if you're ready to, just want to make sure, and every now and then I'm just going to be checking in, making sure that we are all there and that we're all 100% focused. So real quick, share a fire emoji in the chat. Do we know how to share fire emojis? It's 2025. I'm pretty sure we should know by now, right? So real quick, share a fire emoji in the chat if you are ready for us to dive in. Okay, great stuff. Thanks, Cornelius, Anna Marie, Dina, Carolina, Gina, Samia. Cool, let's do this. Again, we don't have too much time, so I'm going to be speaking quite quickly. I believe there will be a recording. So for those of you who are maybe not first language or struggling to hear my funny South African accent or delivery of the language, then please do excuse me, and you will have the recording. So being a parent of young kids is very tough. Do we have any parents here today, by the way? Just by show of hands, just to get a general feel. Okay, I see a couple. Yeah, Karoon, Sophia, Anna Marie, of course. Okay, Sophia. All right, I'm just seeing some of you. Okay, so one of the things that I asked myself as I'm going through this process of trying to grow up faster than my children, in a sense, was, well, how can I simplify my life? And especially how that relates to my business is, how can I simplify my business? And one of the core activities, ensuring that we have consistent clients coming in, right? So I tested out a new strategy in 2024, and the results were the following. And I'm going to go through this really quickly. So 10,000 plus per month as a one-person business coming into the year. much, much higher conversions, so 60 to 80% versus my conversions before using other methods of marketing of only 15 to 20%. Much quicker conversions. So some clients signing in as little as 48 hours of our first meeting versus some of the other strategies that only close clients within sometimes weeks. And that is essentially the framework that I'm bringing you today, introducing the Get Paid Clients framework, how to get paid clients specifically from Instagram in 30 days without spending hours on social media, a huge following, without being pushy or salesy, and without needing any business or tech skills. It's something you really can learn and apply. And as I'm going through this, I think you'll see that, I try to make it as tactical as possible. All right. Some masterclasses tend to be a little bit up in the sky, a little bit principle based, and nothing wrong with principles. I think that our strategies and tactics should be rooted in principle. But oftentimes people leave masterclasses being really motivated, but they don't really know what to do. Okay. And so I don't want that to be the case with today's masterclass. I want you to be able to leave being motivated, obviously, but then knowing what to do about it, being able to actually take this as a framework, and you will have access to this afterwards, and actually implementing it so that you can get your first, some of you, and your next paying clients, and doing so consistently. All right. So step one, ensure that you have a profitable niche. Who of us here, on a scale from 1 to 10, how profitable would you say, or let me ask this, how clear would you say on what your niche is? On a scale from 1 to 10. How clear would you say you are on what your niche is? Okay, and if you don't know what a niche is, that's fine. You just hang 10. Okay, 0, 3, 7, 10, 5. All right, great. Yeah, that's just the personal gauge for yourself, okay? Your niche must be, and I'm going to be touching on the first 2 steps of this 4-step process briefly. If you need more information on that, I did do another masterclass, or I have done other masterclass. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or email, and I can share with you other masterclasses where I'm taking a much deeper dive into step 1 and 2 of the framework. Today, I specifically want to focus, though, on step 4. All right, so forgive me if I'm going through this quickly. Your niche must solve a specific, serious problem. Okay, and the best way that I can think about that is an analogy that Dan Locke used once, and I've used it before, which is if you have a scratch or a rash, let's say, on your neck one night, and it's kind of itchy and annoying, you're not necessarily going to do anything about it. But if you wake up 2 hours later and all of a sudden blood is gushing out of your neck, all of a sudden you're off to the ER and you've spent thousands of dollars in life-saving treatment, right? And so when you are approaching the process of finding a profitable niche, it's important that you try and find a bleeding neck, because fundamentally people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want, right? And the more you are focused on a specific person's problem that is painful, the more willing they are to pay for that thing, and the more easy it is to create an offer and then sell your offer. It's much harder to try and sell coaching that's maybe really impressive or fancy or technical. You're solving this really amazing problem, but if it's not a problem that people really care about, that the market doesn't really care about, it's going to be much harder for you to actually sell. Okay, so it must be a serious problem, so at least a pain level of 8 out of 10, and you want to make it as specific as possible. If I was a life coach and I said, I can help you boost your confidence, right? I think maybe when coaching was in its infancy, when it was still starting out, sure, right? But nowadays, that kind of generality, it's been a long day so far, kind of gets you invisible online, right? So we want to make sure that we're really specific about it. 3 pillars of your niche, okay? So I'm going to be breaking this down as if we are at a Starbucks and we have a couple of minutes, and you say to me, hey, Warren, I'm a coach, I want to get more clients. How can I do that as quick as possible using Instagram? And then pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over a napkin, and I'm going to start jotting down some strategy for you. And that's exactly how we're treating today, because there's a lot of content, not a lot of time. So who, what, and how. Do we have that? Those are the 3 pillars of your niche. Firstly, who, gender, age, profession, personality type. What, which is fundamentally two things, two primary drivers that people have as emotional beings. Pain, people are trying to move away from pain and towards pleasure. That's the best way that I can simplify it. And how that can translate in terms of coaching is you're helping somebody get from point A to point B. Does that make sense so far? Okay, so point A to point B, I want to get away from pain and I want to move towards pleasure. Very important. Some examples might be from overweight to slim, or broke to paid clients, or broke to rich, or broke to six figure, imposter to confidence, unemployed to employed, right? Are we getting it? Okay. And then the third one is how, which is what is your signature framework that helps your specific client get from point A to point B? So it's like the treasure map from where they are right now, stuck in the ocean, struggling to swim with the waves buffeting over them, and they're struggling to get to, and they really want to get to their treasure island, whatever that is. Okay. And what you're doing as a coach is you have the signature treasure map, framework, roadmap that helps them to get from point A to point B step by step by step. And the more clear you are on what that is and the steps provided, and the more clear the client is, the more belief they tend to have. All right. And the more trust that's built. So very, very important. So for example, lose 5 kilograms in 5 weeks framework, or get paid clients framework. That's what I'm sharing with you today. That's my signature framework. Or boardroom confidence framework, or get promoted in 14 days framework. Okay. So do we have an idea of what your framework is? Do you have an idea of what that is? Because what that's going to do, oftentimes, it's one of the core things that's going to separate you from all of the other coaches out there. So in the sea of all the other coaches out there, most of them are invisible. And so you want to be a lighthouse that is visible to your ideal clients, right? And one of the fundamentals of that is making sure that your niche is in check, and especially that you have a signature framework, all right? And then you can take that same framework, you can present it as a masterclass like I'm doing, you can write a book, you can create a course, there's so many different things that you can do, okay? So that will bring you to what we call your niche statement. Are we familiar with this? Okay, this is often what you'll see in a bio. I would say more than 80% of coaches' bios out there, I would even say 90% of coaches' bios out there aren't really optimized. They're not very specific on who they help, how they help in a way that's unique. Okay. And so just by getting this right, I think you can put yourself in that category of those who are standing out. Okay. So that is, I help who, with what, in time frame, using my signature framework, without effort and sacrifice. Okay, and we'll get to that in a minute. So in the journey from point A to point B, what are the things that your specific clients hate the most? For me, a lot of the coaches that I work with, I mainly work with women coaches from the Middle East who want more paid clients and they want to do it consistently. And one of the things that they hate the most is being salesy, right? Or the technicalities of building a business, right? The technical skills that are required. That's why in the title of today's masterclass, it says how to get paid clients from Instagram without being salesy. Another example would be from the health space. Let's say how many fitness coaches or weight loss coaches or dietitians are here today? You just give me a hand. I don't know. Or if you could just say me in the chat. Just want to make sure that we relate. So if your clients specifically hate giving up their favorite foods, then how compelling would your value proposition be if you were able to say, I can help these people lose 5 kilograms in 5 weeks without giving up your favorite foods, or without spending hours in the gym, or without giving up your social life? All right. How much more attractive, how much more valuable would that be? Okay. And the person, to quote Alex Hormozi, the person who brings the most value in the marketplace is the person that wins. So whoever provides the most value wins. So always think value, value, value. Okay. And this is a way of you communicating your value proposition in the marketplace so that you stand out as a lighthouse. Okay. Let's move on. Here are a couple of examples. I'm just going to move through these really quickly. If you are a relationship coach, I help who? Married couples with what? Reconnect and rebuild emotional intimacy in how much time? 90 days, using how? My 3C framework. without effort and sacrifice, dragging each other to therapy, as an example. Wealth coach, I help 95 professionals build their first 10K savings in 6 months with my no budget wealth plan without cutting out coffee or fun, as an example. All right. And there's one for leadership coaching. And you can have a look at this again as you review the replay. There's one for business coach. All right. Quick break. I'm going to take a little breath here real quick. Just want to make sure that we're still engaged. For those of you who perhaps feel like you've just opened a fire hydrant and there's a whole bunch of water splashing in your face and you're like, how am I going to implement all of this? And if you are looking for help, I'm going to be giving away 5 complimentary one-on-one strategy calls specifically on how to help you with a personalized plan on how to implement today's framework that I'm sharing with you. So some of you might, be taking in some of the information. Some of you, maybe you're feeling it's going over your head, or some of you maybe simply just want to, you just want to be able to do it in a way that's easier and quicker. I'm giving away 5 complimentary strategy calls. The link is there at the bottom. And again, it's going to be the first 5 that book. If there are more, I may or may not, just depending on what my schedule looks like, open up another 1 or 2. So we're looking at between 5 to 7 slots that I'm opening up. So feel free to go ahead and book that. Let me just put that in the chat as well, which should be here at the top. All right, there we go. I think you have it now. So for those of you who want to locate that in the chat. All right, moving on. Step 2, are we ready for step 2? So the first thing was we want to make sure that we have a profitable niche. That is the foundation. If your house is your business, then your niche is the foundation. You can have a killer offer, you can have amazing marketing systems, you can have the best sales team in the world, or you can be a selling professional. But if your niche isn't in check, then you're not going to have a strong and solid business. All right. So we want to make sure that we have the niche in check. So let's just assume we have that in check. Step 2, now we know who we're helping and what problem we're solving. What is the actual value package that is being used to help deliver the result? All right. And that is essentially your high ticket coaching offer. Now, notice, not a coaching package. Very, very different. Remember, in the sea of all the other coaches out there, in order for us to stand out as a go-to professional, as an expert, part of that is having an offer that is highly personalized, that solves a specific person's specific problem, again, in a highly personalized way, and provides high level support. And that's essentially what you're doing. So very different from just your one-on-one coaching. Okay. So another way to think about it is think about the difference between a general practitioner, a GP, and a surgeon. What do you think the difference is in value perception? Okay. Quite a difference, right? Secondly, what do you think the difference is in visibility? Like, I don't remember that many GPs, but I do remember Dr. Fourie, who was the specialist that operated on my leg after I ran in front of a car and had my leg broken. Like, I'll never forget his name. So think about visibility, think about brand presence, think about value. And also, would you say that there's a big difference in how much those 2 individuals get paid? So think about this for a moment. In the sea of all the other coaches out there, am I currently a general practitioner or a surgeon, an expert, a specialist? Okay. Because if you are general, then chances are you're going to be invisible. And that's really how the market has been formed. Obviously there's a lot of saturation in the coaching space. And with the rise of technology, and especially AI, with every other thing on the internet fighting for people's attention, it's become that much harder to stand out and that much more important to stand out. And one of the ways is having a high ticket offer. Okay. So let's get into that. Why high ticket coaching offers? Here are a couple of benefits. So fewer clients, more income. So you have a lot more leverage. You work less, earn more, attract serious committed clients. Because you're attracting more serious clients, you tend to have better results. You deliver deeper transformations, stop underpricing your value, position yourself, well, your positioning is better. You're able to scale more without burnout because you have more leverage, more impact, less hustle, quality over quantity, and then consistent 5 to 10K months, even as a solopreneur or a one-person coach or business. All right. So I've always said I would rather have fewer clients that are high quality that I'm making an impact with than many clients that I'm feeling overwhelmed with that are just paying me a little bit. Here's another idea. If your goal is $5,000 per month, right? Who of us has a goal of getting to their first $5,000 per month? You could just type me in the chat or just, by show of hands real quick. Okay, so if you wanted to get $5,000 per month, the first question is, how many people need to close? Do I need to sign a coaching offer with? Right. Well, that depends on the coaching offer price. If I'm selling at $500, that means I have to have 10 clients every month. It's not a huge amount, but it's not a little amount, right? Versus if my coaching offer is $1,000, now I just need 5 clients. If it's $2,500, then I just need 2 clients. If it's $5,000, I just need 1 client for that month. All right. So a lot more leverage. Here are 4 elements of creating a high ticket coaching offer. And it comes from the book called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, who is the founder of acquisition.com. They're currently marching steadily towards $1 billion valuation. So I think he has, he's risen as one of the prominent, if not the most prominent business guru in the world right now. He wrote a book on this, and I'm going to give it to you in a couple of minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. All right, you ready? So when you are structuring your high ticket offer, try not to think from the perspective of your current capacity. Try and think from the perspective of, if I could do anything, in a sense. If I could help this client get from point A to point B, or if this client that I care about needs to get from point A to point B, what exactly would they need? Okay, so we want to be thinking about that. And what would be the value proposition? Kind of like if I were to put this on a billboard and they were driving along Sheikh Zayed Road and they saw this on a billboard, what would need to grab their specific attention for them to stop their car or turn off immediately and come straight to my business, or come straight to my coaching and buy my coaching offer? That's what we want to be thinking about. So 4 value components. The dream outcome or the result. It must be attractive, obvious, specific. Again, if I say something like, I can help you boost your business, or boost your confidence, or I can help you improve your business. Let's say today I came online and I said, hey, super excited to help you with today's business masterclass. Like, you might be a little bit interested, but I think most of you would probably want to log off because that's not very compelling. It's not attractive, right? It needs to be very specific. And for it to be attractive, it needs to be something that relates to your audience. Okay, and it needs to be obvious, and that usually means something that's urgent. Like, it's like when I have a bleeding neck, like that's the first thing in my mind. I want to have it solved. Okay, so these are just a couple of things to think about. So again, this is very similar to your framework in your niche statement, right? So example, lose 5 kilograms in 5 weeks, get paid clients challenge, boardroom confidence challenge, get promoted in 14 days challenge. So just take whatever your framework is and just at the end, add program, challenge, or bootcamp. That's one of the easiest ways to do it, at least when starting out. Okay. What elements could I include in order to help my client get from point A to point B? So this is the question that I asked. So, okay, so now let's say I've got the lose 5 kilograms in 5 weeks program, or bootcamp, or challenge. What needs to be included in this program in order to help this person have the highest possible chances of getting to their result? Okay, so they need a signature framework or roadmap. All right, we've spoken about that. They need my personalized one-on-one attention. Perhaps I want to include a group coaching and mentorship as an added layer of support. Maybe I wanted to have a community of other like-minded people who are also on this journey as a support along the journey. Maybe there are workbooks or templates that I've used that I can quickly ask ChatGPT to put into a nice Canva file for me, or ask directly on Canva to create templates to help this person implement, right? And how long will that take? Maybe there are bonus trainings or masterclasses that I did as an example. So maybe one of my next offers as a bonus for our 30-day Get Paid Clients Challenge, that's one of our the challenges that we do where we help coaches step by step to get their first paid clients, etc. What I might even do is say, hey, part of this offer as a bonus, you get this masterclass that I did for, CTA as an example, or ICF Lebanon, or whatever the case may be. These are just some examples. Some done for you assets. So anything that can help them, anything that you can essentially do for them. Accountability tracker and milestone check-ins, right? And the only limit to creating value, I would say, is your creativity, right? So try and put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself, what would I need if I was just starting out and I wanted to get to this milestone? What are all the things that would add value to help me get there quicker and faster? And that's going to get you, I think, on the right road there. Some examples are a relationship coach. So if you're a relationship coach, maybe your framework would be the secure love blueprint, 5 steps to reconnect and rekindle. And maybe included in that offer, in this, let's call it a 30-day offer, are bi-weekly calls to rebuild trust and intimacy, plus weekly support and Q&A sessions with your partner, plus private WhatsApp group for couples, plus love language guide, conflict templates, right? Maybe there's a bonus masterclass that you did as a relationship coach called Repair After a Fight. Apology scripts, date night planner, connection tracker, 30-day challenge. All right. Is this making sense so far, everyone? Okay, great. A quick test. If you were your client, how likely would you be to buy your offer on a scale from 1 to 10? And whatever that is, feel free to share that in the chat. Whatever that is, I think that's going to give you a strong indication around what your confidence level is going to be when actually selling something like that. Or it's going to give you a clear indication of how much room there is for you to improve it and to make it more valuable. Okay, so that's a quick test. All right, so we have some pretty high numbers. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing. Step 3. Are we ready for step 3? We're nearly there. Now it's time, because you have your niche and you have your offer. Now it's time to attract your dream clients. Quick question. What happens if we were to attract our dream clients before we had a profitable niche, or rather before even we had a high ticket offer? So attracting your dream clients, there's different ways to do that. And the specific way I'm going to be sharing today has to do with ads. And ads are not a quick fix. It's not a magic pill. Ads are simply a magnifier. It's like a magnifying glass. It's an amplifier. If your niche and your offer is good, valuable, it's going to amplify that. If it's not, then it's going to amplify that. All right. So just speaking to the importance of your niche and your offer. So assuming that we have our niche and our offer in place, the next thing is, how do I get leads? Okay, specifically on Instagram. And credit goes to Brandon Forbes. He's a coach based out of America. I first learned this specific strategy from him in a program that I was in 2024, applied it, and it blew my mind. All right, that's exactly what I'm going to be bringing to you. And so a lot of credit goes to him. 3 things people are asking when they first meet you. Think about it. First time people meet you, they're asking, whether it's online or even if they're seeing you live, they're asking, do I like this person? Can I trust this person? Can they actually help me? Okay. And this is the Insta Clients funnel. Very simple. I think a lot of you are familiar with this already. We want to have leads coming into the top, people that don't know you from a bar of soap. That's the top of funnel where people get to know you. That's the awareness phase. Then once you've attracted them, the next step is nurturing. We're building connections, having conversations. They're seeing our content, we're checking our bio, looking at our transformational testimonials. That's nurturing. They're like, whoa, I like what I see. That's mid funnel. That's a spelling error over there. It should be mid. And then at the bottom is trust. And that is the converting phase. Now that people have warmed up to us, the next phase is, okay, does it make sense for us to work together? And of course, not every lead is going to be a closable client, right? But part of the process is trying to find who that is. And so if I bring in, let's say, 20 people who know about me, maybe 10 of them actually resonate with me and my message and my branding, etc., and the testimonials, maybe 5 of them actually book a call. And out of those 5, maybe 3 of them see an offer. They're like, hey, I actually want to work with you. And then maybe 2 of them actually close. All right, so these are just some examples of metrics. By show of hands, real quick, do you have your funnel written down with your conversion rates? So if I want to make 5K per month and I need to sell 2 or 5 offers at, let's say 2 offers at $2,500 each, how many booked calls do I need to have? Or how many people need to see my offer? How many booked calls do I need to have? In order for me to have that amount of booked calls, how many conversations do I need to have? In order to have X amount of conversations, how many leads need to come into my funnel every month? If we don't know those numbers, we're pretty much blind in our business. Okay. So I'm just giving you the reality. And I only figured this out much later, when it was far too late and I could have saved myself a lot of bankruptcy and business breakdown. So if my goal is $5,000 per month and I want 2 clients every month, maybe I need to have 3 people view my offer. In order to have 3 people view my offer, let's say I need to have 5 book calls, because out of the 5, 3 people are interested. Let's say those are my conversion rates. Out of the 5 book calls, how many conversations do I need to start? Right? Maybe 15, 10, 15, let's say, because not everyone's necessarily going to respond. And it's supposed to be that way because you're not necessarily going to be for everyone. You want to be very specific. And in order to have those 15 conversations, how many new leads do I need to have coming into my funnel every single month? Right? Maybe that's 30, 40, 50, just depending on what your conversion rate is. Right? And if we're looking at 50, I mean, that's not even 2 every day. That's like nothing. Okay. And if you have more time than money, okay, if you have more time than money, then I would recommend more of the organic methods of marketing, like reach outs. I did a masterclass for ICF Lebanon where I broke down exactly how to do that. How do you get paid clients? Using reach outs. Very effective method. Okay. Obviously, it's more time intensive. So that's if you have more time than money. If you have more money than time, or at least if you have a tiny budget, fairly small budget, daily budget that you can set aside in dirhams or dollars or whatever for ads, then you want to use paid ads. You have a lot more leverage. You place one ad and it goes to hundreds or thousands of people rather than going to them individually. All right, I'm going to be sharing the latter with you. How do you use ads specifically in a unique kind of ad on Instagram to bring in leads? And then how do when they come to my bio and my page, what do they need to see in order for them to say, whoa, I really like this person and I trust this person? And then once they, how do we reach out to them? How do we engage in a conversation? How do we communicate in a way that books calls with the ideal qualified leads? And then how do we actually engage in a conversation on the call to deliver enough value that leads into a sales opportunity where you present an offer and you close those clients? All right, that's essentially what we're doing here. Does that make sense, everyone, so far? Just checking real quick. Okay, great. So the first component of the Insta Clients funnel, and there are 5, is a follower ad that brings in qualified leads. Okay. Here's a mistake. I'm just going to backtrack quickly. Here's a mistake that a lot of coaches make. They go out there and they think, if I just post content, people will find me, right? It doesn't work like that anymore at all. And I'm sure that there'll be more than some of you who would testify to that. I know some coaches who've been posting for years, and I was one of them, without getting any new specific leads using social media. All right. So we want a way to get new clients, because the posting content is mid-funnel, but it doesn't help if we're posting, but no new people are finding us. Getting what I'm saying? Okay. Just wanted to mention that. So the first thing is a follower ad that brings in qualified leads. Okay. So this is very simple. We just want to place an ad where we say the following. It's a video, and a lot of you may have, come through those same ads of mine that you'll see on my social media. And the script is the following: are you a whoever your niche is, and you're struggling with whatever the pain point that is relevant to your niche, call to action, give me a follow, check out my previous content where I show my followers how to do whatever thing that, problem you solve. Simple, right? So literally, like, just dress nicely, get some good lighting, and pull up your phone and say, are you for me, are you a coach from the Middle East making less than $4,000 per month, and you want to get consistent high-paying clients? Give me a follow, check out my previous content where I show my followers how to get consistent high-paying clients. Stop the video, right? There might be some editing and that kind of thing, but that's pretty much it. Does that seem difficult? No, not at all, right? And then what you're going to do is, I'm not going to be able to go into all of the tactics around that, but from there, what you're going to do is you can either boost the ad, and I think most of us know how to do that, or you can actually launch it from the Facebook or Instagram or Meta's platform. Okay. And I think there are a lot of tutorials online on how to do that. And you can use ChatGPT, right? So it's definitely doable on your own. And so that's the first thing. Okay. Are we clear on that? So whoever doesn't have a follower ad, I challenge you, after today's call, go and create one. All right. Who's willing to do that, by the way? If so, just type in me. Just wanting to just put you on the spot there real quick, if you don't mind. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah, we don't want today's session just to be information. We want it to be transformation, and that's going to require action, right? So good. Second thing is, we need a bio that stands out. It's kind of like going to a doctor's office and you see on her plate, it says, Sophia Hernandez, let's say, brain specialist, right? You know immediately, like, she's visible, okay? And the more your brand is like a billboard, the more visible you're going to be. Okay, you want to be like a light in the sea of all the other experts and coaches out there who are invisible. And a lot of them are amazing coaches. They're just invisible. You want to be the one that stands out. Okay. And so your bio is one of the best places to do that. Insert niche statement. So whatever your niche statement is, just insert that. I help who with what, and add a powerful call to action. A mistake that a lot of coaches make is they put too many call to actions, and a confused mind never buys. Or a confused mind hesitates, right? Diluted attention, I think diluted focus, diluted attention leads to diluted action, okay? So just one call to action. Here's an example of what mine looks like. Many of you, I think, we're connected on Instagram already. Some of you are here from an ad, so you've already been through a lot of this stuff. And here I'm just speaking a little bit about my values, so God and family, right? And so this is designed to disqualify anybody that, or most people or coaches who would not resonate with the notion of God and family. Maybe they're just in it for the money. Just silly example, right? I help who specifically? And I'm just happen at this moment specifically to be targeting ICF coaches. I don't exclusively work with just them, but right now that's who we're targeting. And so ICF coaches from the Middle East, I help them get high-paying clients in 14 days without being salesy. And then I add a couple of other things there, and then DM clients to apply. So people have a very clear understanding of who I help and who I don't, because we want to disqualify. When people come through our funnel, we want most of them to go out of the funnel, because that's the qualification process, okay? And I know that it's counterintuitive, but that's essentially how it works. And you can see some of the top coaches in the world as well. They're very, very selective. All right, another example is the following, and again, you can catch this in the recording. Third thing is a personal transformation process. This is simple. It's just what were things like for me before? What was the process? And what are things like for me now? And what did I learn? Like, those are the main things that you're wanting to do with a before and after picture. That's literally it. It's super simple, but it gives you so much leverage because it's so powerful, because it's your first testimonial. For change for results to occur for your clients, they need to believe that change is possible. And they need to believe that change is them. Right? Change is required. They need to accept that change is required, that change is possible, and that change is them. And this is one of the best ways that you can communicate that. So when people come to your page and they see something like this, for example, this is before, let's pretend this is you before your transformation, this is after your transformation, right? When your ideal client comes to a post like this and they're like, whoa, I really resonate with that person because that's where I am right now. And you are proof that they can actually do it as well. All right. So I can't tell you how much use I've actually gotten out of just this transformational post. All right. So if you haven't written a transformation post, really easy. I'm going to share it with you. Point A, you before your transformation, where you started. So 2019, what was the journey like? Right. And that's what I shared in the beginning of our thing. I said, after investing X amount, I had low confidence, et cetera, et cetera. And then I said, by God's grace, I have a 5 to 6 figure business that helps me to do X, Y, and Z. And then provide value. So just like 3 lessons real quick of things that you learned, just principle based. And then a call to action. Follow me if this resonates and if you'd like to, be on this journey with me. And then create an image with a before and after photo, like the following. Is that difficult? Super easy. It's a very, very high leverage task. Okay, cool. Then I'm speeding through this because I know our time is ticking. The power of the personal transformational posts is your clients, essentially the idea is when they see it is, hey, if she can do this, so can I. All right. Very powerful. The fourth thing of the Insta clients funnel is attractive content. Now, I could probably spend another 2 hours or 3 hours on delving into content, how to create principles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But I'm just going to say for the purpose of our time that this is not going to be a masterclass on content creation, right? So I'm going to keep it light, and I'm just going to give you the specific strategy that I use, that I've been using to create and post consistent content with as little time as possible, okay? But essentially 2 things you want to be thinking about. Again, when people come to you for the first time, they're asking, do I like this person? Do I trust them? Can they help me? You can boil those down to 2 main things: authority and authenticity. Okay. So how do we get people to see us as an authority, as that lighthouse, as a specialist doctor that can help them with their need? Content. It's one of the ways. How do we get somebody, or at least the people who resonate with the way that we are and what we do and so on, in a way that gets them to like us? As an authentic person, somebody that they can relate to, authenticity. Okay, so we want to create a balance between authority and authenticity-based content. Does that make sense? So a couple of principles to keep in mind. Firstly, know, like, and trust. People buy from those they know, like, and trust. Your content should make them feel all 3. Free value. Share helpful tips and advice generously. When people see your value, they're more likely to trust you enough to buy your program for more. Russell Brunson used to say that you should give away the what, like this is what you should do to get these results, and sell the how. We are no longer in a world where that works. What's required, if we want to be part of that top 10% or top tiny percent of coach entrepreneurs who are doing this full time, making the impact that they want to make, making the money that they want to make, it's not enough in our content strategy just to share the what, right? Or to be sparing. We want to instead share the how and sell the help. Did you get that? That was a total game changer for me. Share the how. So give people your framework. Because if you give your client a framework that you created to help them get from point A to point B, and they're like, wow, this is amazing, this really makes sense, who is going to be the most obvious choice when they are looking for help, and for those people who are looking for help to get it done quicker and faster? You. So you're kind of creating almost like a monopoly effect, right? It's a game changer. Last thing, emotion plus logic plus proof. People buy with emotion, justify with logic, and reaffirm with proof. So think testimonials, and your personal transformation post being your first testimonial. Your content should include all 3. So how to fill your weekly content calendar with 1 piece of content. What I do is I shoot 1 video, a reel. I take I apply the captions using CapCut or this captions app that I personally use. Copy the video's transcript. Okay, and that's how you can do it. So the words around the video. So now we have that as a piece of content. Paste that text from the transcript into ChatGPT. We all know ChatGPT, right? Okay. And there's a tool, yeah, and I believe you're going to get this afterwards. So you can click on that link and that will take you to my repurposing tool that you can also use, and click enter. This should then repurpose that one piece of content into a newsletter that I send out weekly, that you can send out weekly, a carousel, a quote post, and other posts. All right. So out of one piece of content, you can fill your entire weekly content calendar. All right. And you can schedule it out in the AI tools and that kind of thing that make it much easier. Okay. Does that make sense? That's all we have enough. Oh, okay, where there's 5, 6, and 7. 5, create a file in Drive with the topic of your content piece and create headings for each content type. For example, 1 reel, newsletter, carousel, photo. If you're looking for the system that I have on how to organize this, it's very easy. You can do it yourself as well. But if you're looking for my system on how to organize it, just hit me up on, or a DM, or message me on Instagram and just say social media system, and I'll know and I'll send that over to you. Okay. 6, edit and refine each piece of content. 7, schedule each piece of content for the week. You can use a scheduler or you can do it yourself. And this is my general schedule. Monday is a quote post. Tuesday is a reel. Wednesday is a carousel. Thursday is a quote post. Friday is usually family or personal, something spiritual. Okay. So we're nearly there. The 5th thing, so now we've gotten leads in. They've looked at our personal transformation post. Wow, this person used to be there. Wow, this gives me hope. They've seen your bio. Whoa, this person is a specific person that solves a problem that I have, right? So trust, likability is building, trust is building. And then the next thing is you want to try and book a call with them. Here are 4 steps to booking a call, all right? Because that's where the decisions are made. We are not in a world where people just randomly go and buy high ticket coaching offers without having a call. So like we've got to make sure that we get to a call. Otherwise, we're not having any clients. And so have a look at your schedule for last week. If you don't have any book calls or this going into this week, it's a sign of poorer health for your business, right? And so just think it's usually a lead problem, like, because I need more leads to have more conversations with, to book calls with, right? So use that as a metric, as a business health check. The steps to booking calls. All right, I'm going to simplify this a lot. A lot of you have already been through this process, at least those of you who are within our inner circle community, those coaches I'm working with, who have come through our Instagram funnel. The first thing is we want to connect and say, hi, Jane, thanks for the follow. Reach out if there's anything you need support on. Then you want to get some information. By the way, how are things going with your whatever domain you happen to be in, like your profession or your coaching or whatever the case may be. Point B, what are your goals? So basically, what's point A, what's point B, right? You want to have a conversation around that. And then what's the biggest thing that's holding you back from achieving this? I don't have time in going into exactly the wording and the tone used and so on, because that's really crucial, but at least so you have a framework and a structure. And of course, you can use ChatGPT to also try and help refine the tone so that it's professional and sincere. Okay. Because if we just randomly have a conversation around your coaching or your offer without first doing this, it's going to sound salesy. It's like going to the doctor and she immediately subscribes like certain pills for you without even doing any diagnosis or anything. It's going to feel like she just has the agenda just to get some sales in, right? Okay. So in the same way. Then only if applicable, offer to get on a quick win call. All right. And you could say something like, okay, great, happy to help you achieve whatever goal in a quick 25-minute call, if you like, right? If they agree, then you share the booking link and then you share homework with them. That's very, very important. Okay, so that when they come into the call, they already have some context. They've done some homework. They've probably already viewed a lot of your content. Okay, so the quality of that lead is just improving and improving, or at least the temperature of that lead is improving and improving. And when I say a quick win call, I'm going to share with you what that looks like in a second. I see that we are 3 minutes over. I just wanted to, with your permission, just see if we're able to extend for another 5 to 7 minutes. I know that there's a bit of buffer time, but I can't remember what that was.
That's right. Yes, please proceed.
Is that all right? Thanks, Abe. All right, great stuff. And then also there's just the for those of you who are at a place where maybe you're finding value, but you're really looking for help to actually implement the systems and frameworks that you're seeing. Again, I'm giving away 5 complimentary one-on-one calls. I don't know how many are booked, but basically first come, first serve. If you're looking for help, I've shared the link in the chat, and it's also there on the screen. Okay. The last step. Are you ready for the last step? Everyone's still with me, by the way? Just give me a thumbs up, give me a smile, give me a wave, something. Okay. All right. Or hang loose. I think they do that in Australia. It's not really a Dubai thing, is it? Okay. So step 4. So think through the funnel with me real quick. Okay. So we brought in leads. They've seen our bio. Oh, this person can help me. They've seen our personal transformation post. That's our own testimony. Whoa, like that's an incredible story. I relate to that. Right. Notice how the temperature is increasing, the like and the trust is increasing. I've scrolled through some of the content. That's what people do. They just kind of scan. They're like, whoa, yeah, I think this person is legit. And I like the way that they do things. And I like what they stand for and the values. And they have a family and they do ballroom dancing and they, whatever the case may be. Okay. People want to connect with people. And so there's that. So now they've found you. Now they've reviewed some of your content. And so by the time you reach out and you say, hey, Jane, thanks for the follow. You know, if you're following along, I hope my content is valuable to you. If there's anything you feel you need support with in terms of whatever your domain is, improving your relationship, your business, whatever your niches, feel free to reach out. Wishing you all the best. God bless. That's usually what I say, right? And that's when you start the conversation, and then you go through those 4 steps on booking a call, right? Discovery, etc. So that's the conversion phase. Now that people have booked a call, okay, so very important. How do we, once somebody has come logged into a call with you for one of your quick win calls, how do you convert the convertible leads? Very important. The goal isn't to convert everyone, right? Not everyone's looking for help, and the last thing we want to do is try and help people that don't want help, and try and sell things that don't want to be sold or bought. Okay, it's like the worst thing ever. So really, we're just getting on calls, and it's almost like an interview in a sense. All right. Well, first we're delivering value. That's why we call it quick win, and then you'll see, how the rest goes. So this is called a quick win call. What's it called, everyone? A quick win call. What do we want to do in that call? We want to give them a quick win, right? So it's a quick win call. So we're delivering some value, and then parenthesis, potential client enrollment, right? So it depends. They're looking for help. And if they're qualified, if this is somebody that you want to work with. All roads lead to, we know the saying, Rome, right? All roads lead to Rome. Okay, so here's a new saying. All roads lead to a one-on-one call. Again, especially in today's day and age, with trust being on an all-time low, attention an all-time low, it's near impossible to sell even a low-ticket offer, never a high-ticket offer, without personally connecting with you, no matter how good your brand is. Okay, so all roads lead to a one-on-one call, and that's essentially what is at the bottom of that funnel. So 4 steps, and this is the last framework, then we're done. 4 steps to conducting quick win calls. So maybe you ask, how do we, if somebody books a call, what do I say? How do I, right? First thing, okay, there's going to be a couple of things. You're going to say hi, and you're going to say, hey, we had a conversation on Instagram, and it sounded like you needed some help with this. And yeah, so I just wanted to extend this time for you. We don't have too much time, but I want to make sure that you obviously get the most value out of today's call. And so I just want to ask a couple of questions, and then we'll take it from there. Does that sound fair enough? That's usually what I say. Okay, you can say the same thing. But the main thing is you want to get the biggest domino. What is valuable for that person? What will be classified as a win for that person? It's going to be different from person to person. One of the biggest mistakes that we can make is come in and just regurgitate our framework, or try and start coaching them, or start teaching them. Or no, we need to, like a doctor, like a professional. I think if more coaches handle their coaching practice like a doctor or a physician's practice, I think things would be very different in terms of results. And so we want to try and identify what's the biggest thing that, if you were to help them solve, would make the biggest difference. Is it mindset related? Is it strategy related? Is it skill related? Is it, and then just like a needle, just administer the medication specifically in that area. Okay. Over deliver. So part of over delivery is making sure that it's specific, that it's relevant. Provide more support if and wherever possible. regardless of whether you think this person is somebody that's going to be a client or not, just regardless. And then at the end, ask a very simple question. Was today helpful? Like, did you get what you were looking for? And you could even ask them, that's an important question that I forgot to include here. What's the main thing, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, that you need to take away from our call in order for you to consider that it was extremely valuable? Or what needs to happen in our call for you to walk away considering this was a game changer? Okay, anyway, so after you deliver the value, you want to ask, was this helpful? Right? And either, they're going to give you feedback, and that's good. All right. If you did your job properly, they're going to say, wow, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Very simple next question. Great. Are you looking for more help? Like you said, you want to get to 5K per month, and you know all the strategy and everything. Like, do you need more help to get there? Right. There are other questions that you can ask around that, but just for the sake of our time, the main thing is you want to try and suss out and establish if they need more help and quantify how important that would be, how valuable that would be before you come in and actually share your offer. If they say, no, I'm not looking for any help, thank you so much, this was amazing, then you say, great, you're most welcome. And then you ask two things. Since you found value in today's call, or if you found value in today's call, how open would you be in writing a very short and simple testimonial or shooting a video? Easy, right? And so every testimonial that you get increases your credibility. It helps you to correspondingly demand higher prices, attract more clients, all right? So testimonials are huge. That's proof. Or you could also ask, do you know anyone else? Do you know any other professionals looking to get promoted in 30 days? Do you know any other coaches looking to sign clients in 30 days? Do you know any other, men trying to lose 3 kilograms in 3 weeks, or whatever your thing is? And then tell them, I've got a 30-day program to help this specific person get this done. For every person that enrolls, you get 10%. So there's an incentive. And so essentially what's happening is you're setting up a new mechanism to get new leads. And referrals, by the way, are the best quality leads, and they're free in a sense. And if not anything, you're building goodwill in the marketplace, right? And brand equity. The more people that you're helping, how do you change the world? One person at a time. The more people that you help, the more your brand presence grows, right? And that's the most important asset, I would say, that you have, and also the most difficult one to build. Okay. And then the last thing, only if help is wanted. If they say, yes, I'm looking for help, then you show them your offer, ensure they're clear on the value and answer any questions. And then a decision is made, right? They've looked at the price and all of that stuff. You've handled objections, and they've said, yes, let's do this. Share the details and close the deal. Okay. You can email the proposal or the offer, or you can send it on WhatsApp, or whatever the case may be. There might be a deadline tied to it. And then that's how you close. If not, then again, testimonial, referral, or goodwill. And everyone, thanks so much for your time, your attention, and your patience as well with the slight time extension. That is how you get paid clients in 30 days or less using Instagram without spending hours on social media, without having a huge following, without business skills, without sales skills, without being pushy and salesy. And this is something that you can scale to your first 5 to 10K per month. Okay, that's something that you can fairly realistically do on your own, especially with the help of AI. You could probably go well beyond that. And then it's the matter of just using the same framework, the same strategy that I shared with you, and just hiring a marketing person now to handle the call bookings, and then hiring a content marketer to handle the content creation, and then eventually a salesperson. So now you have 3 people handling the calls, and then now you're only dealing with the client. And then you can even hire coaches to deal with the clients, and then you can deal with other things, right? So it's highly, highly scalable. And there are coaches out there who are using the exact same method, the same strategy to do in excess of 6-7 figures, 100K per month, even millions of dollars per month, or $1 million per month. And yeah, thanks so much for your time and your attention. Again, if there are those of you who are looking for more help, I don't know if we have spots available, but if you wanted to explore getting on a call, having one of the 30-day get paid clients strategy calls. They are free. Then you can go ahead and book. And if we have more bookings than my capacity, I'll make sure to reach out to you personally and see if there's another way that we can add value. But that's it from my side. Thanks again so much, Saeed, for your time and your attention. Thank you, Coach Transformation Academy, for having me.
Most welcome. Thank you, Warren. It was wonderful having you with us, and great insights. Thank you so much. Actually, we don't have much time now. In fact, just a minute more. I was wondering if somebody had questions they could ask, but apparently time is quite short. So please do book your calendar calls with Warren so that you can have a direct one-to-one session with them. Also, the video will be available in, let's say, another 48 hours on our YouTube channel, so you can view this and catch up. All right.
Thank you so much.
Wishing
Take care,
everyone
Bye.
a good time. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Come.